Yeah, I've really struggled the last 2 months here in the garden. The wind has been outrageous. The sun has been strong and very little moisture. We supplemented that with watering. But I noticed that all my areas that are completely covered with life, they have absolutely no issues. It's the areas that have these rows and columns that have always struggled in this garden. The wind gets in between, takes the topsoil away, the sun gets in there and melts the soil. So I have actually come up with this idea that there's no choice. I have to go into chaos gardening. So what I'm going to do is I have quite a selection of seeds. I have Ecuadorian seeds, Canadian seeds, and from many other companies. And I'm going to mix them together and I'm going to do this chaos gardening. And I have decided to have a fruit tree in the middle and then work my way in a circle out from that tree. And I'm going to fill up this entire garden with life. And I'm going to fill it up with diverse life. And I am going to document this journey on how the garden is going to fill itself in and how that the soil is not going to be visible and how it's going to be a complete oasis in this garden, because I don't have to kill myself anymore. I can allow the garden to do a lot of the work, and that's going to be the next 3 months, is to get every square inch in this garden covered with life. And I should have a lot of extra time after that's done, because when I do that, I'm going to have the garden more or less look after itself. And it's going to be a very exciting journey, and I'm going to take you guys on the ride to see how this actually works out. Yeah, it's very interesting for me when you have a garden or work in a garden and you think of the limiting factors of your garden and how you can improve them and how you can make them move forward and how you can help them accomplish what they need to accomplish. So if you make a checklist, I have endless water, beautiful, clean mountain water. My limiting factor is topsoil. The Andes here are paper thin everywhere. And if you want to create any type of garden, you have to improve your soil. And the next problem is we have incredibly strong wind here, and the sun is absolutely brutal. It will melt things here. It is that strong. It never really gets hot here. We have 20 degrees every day. It rains almost all the time. Right now we're in a dry season. It's been dry for very long, so it's very odd that it's so dry. But my rant is that I am going to change how I garden. I am going to go into this chaos gardening. I'm not going to grow in rows and columns anymore. I'm going to have every single space filled up with life, with plant life. And I'm not going to consider this really structured gardening anymore. This land can provide us with anything we need. There is so much potential here. The only thing is we have to really respect the fact that our soil is the biggest limiting factor. And by having this chaos gardening in place, the plants will improve and maintain my soil as I go along. I can't really bring in all this material because we're so far away from the road. So I have to rely on the river. I have to rely on the plants doing their job. And I think I can move forward that way. I want beautiful gardens. I don't want tired looking gardens. So this idea of having the soil covered, protected from this incredibly strong sun here and from the winds, is my best weapon to protect the land. So anyone who has a garden, you have to analyze, okay, what is my weakest element in my garden? Is it a particular weed that takes over my garden all the time? Is it the lack of soil depth? Is my soil really bad? Lots of clay in it and it's not draining properly. There's so many variables what make a good or bad garden. And you have to step back and say, okay, what can I do to condition my soil? What can I do to have a better watering system? What can I do to allow more sunlight into my garden? All these factors are something that the gardener has influence on. So maybe we let the plants do their job, but we provide them with everything they need. We nudge them along so they get what they need. This change in a role of a gardener might be the future of gardening, where we're basically providing the plants with everything they need and we do little else. And that's my approach is going to be, that is to look after the garden as a custodian, not a controller. And I'm going to start planting diverse plant life here. Hopefully I'll attract all kinds of birds, insects, and reptiles. They're already here, but hopefully I can keep them and attract even more. And everything can be very self-maintaining if you get to a certain stage where you're helping life more than controlling it, helping things move along. I'm going to have lots of fruit trees that are going to come online for more food. I'm going to have lots more shade once these trees get bigger. I'm going to have lots of compostable material when I start pruning all these things that have dried from the dry season. So life makes life, life attracts life, and life helps life move forward. And this forward movement is always what I preach. It's really important to understand that when you allow your garden to move forward and you don't allow it to go backwards, it doesn't take a lot. It just takes a really good plan on your behalf to make it work forward, move forward. And gardening doesn't have to be so stressful. It can be very chaotic where it looks after itself. That's my hope. That's my push. And I'm going to start planting seeds in very many different locations together. I'm going to start ripping out the rows and columns that I have in this garden. And I'm going to start gardening differently. I have many areas that are completely chaotic and they're doing incredibly well. The rest of the garden isn't. So that's an indication to me that this doubling up on plant material, tripling up on plant material next to each other, keeping the soil completely covered, is the way to garden here in Ecuador. Other people might have other locations where the soil is 2 meters deep. They can't really go wrong. It's funny, I notice a lot of the no-till gardeners have amazing soil where they are, and they still use that cardboard. So it's interesting to me how people have such great locations to grow, but yet they still have to revert to really weird mechanisms. A struggling gardener is a gardener who's aware of what he needs to do to get from A to B, how he's going to nudge his garden along so it keeps alive, it keeps flourishing. And this idea of a green, flourishing garden is every gardener's dream. That's my dream, is to keep this location beautiful, diverse, and full of life that is moving forward.